On the debate tonight, 5 days, 5 babus and their unbelievable 7.5 crore rupees splurge in Davos. Meet Maharashtra's Additional Chief Secretary for Industries, Satish Gawai. He is the babu who spent over 1.5 crore rupees a day during his stay in Davos for the World Economic Forum meet from January 21st to 25th.
What is the main question which government yet not answered is that why they appointed a US-based firm to make all these arrangements for the Davos tour.
The whopping bill has rocked the Maharashtra government. The opposition has jumped in and leveled graft charges. Several questions have been raised over the bill. Like, why is a travel bill being raised by a motor company? In fact, doubts are also being raised over the authenticity of the rental company that was used by the industry secretary.
हम साबित करेंगे कि ये पूरी तरह से 7 करोड़ 63 लाख रुपए MIDC के लूटे गए और कहीं ना कहीं जो इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी है उसे मंजूरी देने के लिए ये अधिकारियों को घूस देने का काम सरकार ने किया है.
Left red-faced, the government says they are yet to approve the bills. Mirror Now confronted Industries Minister of Maharashtra, Subhash Desai.
Bills have not been paid. Bills have been submitted, but they have not been paid, and only right bills would be paid. Unnecessarily extra expenditure would not be done.
Mirror Now asks, how did the babus rack up a nearly 8 crore bill in just 5 days? Shouldn't the Chief Minister order an inquiry?
Well, it's highly suspicious. The bills themselves raise several questions about the nature of the expenses and also the addresses from which these bills actually have been generated. Mayuresh, my colleague, is live right now from Mumbai. He's brought us this story. Mayuresh, first of all, has there been any sort of inquiry that has been sort of ordered by the Chief Minister? And secondly, you're holding those bills in your hand. When you look at those bills, are the bills suspicious? I'm fundamentally asking you is this corruption, Mayuresh?
Certainly, to give the first answer of your question, no inquiry has been initiated by CM nor by Industries Minister. When I asked him about the inquiry, he said we have not paid the bills. Now, but we have got these bills. So these bills will go to the accounts department. Accounts department will check them and then only will take further necessary action. But we will not be paying any single or any penny which is more than the allotted, or we can say that the amount which was approved by the government. You can see these bills. We submitted the copy of this bill. We gave this copy of bills to Industries Minister. After that, he thoroughly examined it. He had word with his officials, and then only he commented, because he was not ready to comment on camera. But when we told him that we have got the bills, these are the bills and this is the amount, after that only he commented. And as we speak about the veracity of the bills, whether they are really authentic or not, Maharashtra government has accepted that they have got these bills. So certainly these bills are really authentic. So now it's up to Maharashtra state government, because we tried to reach to Maharashtra CM also. We did try to ask him a question about whether there will be any inquiry he will be initiating, because 7.63 crore rupees in just 5 days is not a really small amount, and it's, after all, it's a money of you, people like you, me and other who are paying taxes regularly. Back to you, Faye.
In fact, Mayuresh, this bill that we're looking at, which I know that is in your hand as well, Premier Motor and Company, and the address on this bill is 9971 Reading Avenue, Garden Grove, California, USA. The team in the office actually used Google and Street View in America to find that street. If you pop it up on the screen in a bit, we'll actually see that it's a home that's, you know, it's not even an office building. So from what we have found out, it's possible that these addresses and these bills altogether are suspect. And there's you can see it on the screen. The US allows Google to actually give you a view of the street from the address that you're looking at. That's the street, and the home that we're talking about is actually just someone's home with 2 cars parked in front of it. It is not a Premier Motor Company. Could these bills actually be evidence of corruption, Mayuresh?
Certainly, because even we checked that. You just said that how we checked it. Certainly, it's kind of a lead it's kind of a lead which is leading towards the suspicions about this bill. Now it's onus is on government to come clean, and if at all some corruption has happened, then certainly government should take the necessary action against those babus who have spent 7.63 crore rupees. As we mentioned earlier also, these bills from a US-based company, they had gone to Switzerland, that is in Davos. So why they appointed this US-based company, and what is the connection appointing this US-based company? That is also area which needs to be answered. That is also a question which government has not answered. Why they appointed this premier motor and cars company?
Yes, in fact, this premium motor and car company has drawn up a bill of $327,454 for cars and for homes that had been, or for rooms that were rented out in Davos. Again, the question that should come up is, why was there a motor company actually, leasing out rooms during the Davos event? Why weren't they using hotels instead? And what company is this? What is the nature of the company? And of course, why was the bill dated the 21st of January when the stay went on till the 25th? So these bills, in fact, Mayuresh, were drawn up on the first day, not at the end of the trip. Will that also come into question?
Certainly, because you can see that the date has been mentioned on it. It clearly indicates the 21st of January 2019 when the Davos Economic Forum Summit started. And if you could see, I'll ask my cameraman to show you. This is the split up which they have given from day 1 to day 5th. That is 21st of Jan to 26th of Jan. So how can a company already provide you a bill on the day first to a Maharashtra government when the summit has not already happened? You can see that. See, from 21st, they have given a bill of a car rental, and on 26th also. So certainly it is also raising a lot of doubts which government needs to answer. But right now we have got only one answer from government, that the bills are under scrutiny, and appropriate answer we will give you once the scrutiny is done. So we are waiting for another confirmation, or we can say another answer from the government about these bills, and we will be pursuing this matter further.
Absolutely, Mayuresh. Many thanks for bringing us this very, very important story. And the reason why we bring up stories like this is because, like Mayuresh quite rightly said, the money that is being used to pay these bills, or the money that will be used to pay this bill, is your money and my money, money we've paid in taxes to the state government of Maharashtra, money that should be better utilized to rehabilitate the people in Mahul, to rehabilitate our farmers, to actually solve the problems of education, healthcare, and severe malnourishment that exists in the state of Maharashtra. But it does seem like there are questions to be asked at this point about how this government is running its business. Joining me on the show, Shailesh Gandhi, former Chief Information Commissioner, Vishwas Pathak for the BJP, Clyde Crasto for the NCP, Vishal Muntewar for the Congress, Aniket Nigam will be a lawyer who will join us through the course of this conversation, and Bhaskar Prabhu, an RTI activist. Clyde's hand goes up immediately. Go ahead, Clyde.
No, Faye, you spoke about, this is the whole, expose that our party chief spokesperson, Mr. Nawab Malik, did yesterday. I was there at the press conference. There's one more bill that I think you don't have here, which we sent to, your team. You spoke about Premier Motor and Cars. There's another bill by Auto Boys. Now, Auto Boys sounds like a, some kind of a band to me, but, it's Auto Boys. Now, Auto Boys also has given a bill of about $378,246 US. Now, what I'm trying to highlight here is, which you spoke earlier, and I was talking to one of your team people, is to Google the addresses. Now, what you spoke about was 9971 Reading Avenue at Garden Grove, California, which shows like a house. Auto Boys address is 2851 Oasis Avenue, Garden Grove. Okay, in the same vicinity. And when I did a research on the Google about this, both these places are some kind of residential, house, and both are on sale. So, they do not, they do exist, but it's a home. There's no office here. And one more thing I'd like to highlight, like you mentioned, Premier Motor Cars raised a bill on 21st, the first day of this whole, trip that they were doing. And Auto Boys raised a bill on the second day. So, before the whole trip was over, these two companies knew what they were going to spend the money on and what it's going to cost. So, and also if you go through the bills in detail, they're randomly, like interior. We don't know what interior means, but interior costs you like 27,000 euros. Okay? Advertisement charge, which is like another 50,000 euros. I mean, these are big sums of money. You know, these are like large sums of money. Another question that comes to mind is when people from the, from the government are going for a World Economic Forum,
yes,
why would they want to live in a 3-bedroom chalet? 5-bedroom chalet. I mean, we all know what a chalet is.
Yes.
So why would they need
But
private
for the benefit of our
homes?
audience, it's a cottage.
It is a cottage. It's like
cottage.
a beautiful wooden cottage, with 3 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. I don't understand why would these people working for the government of Maharashtra would want to live in a chalet. So these are all, questions that are raised and they need to be answerable. And, like we said yesterday, this whole thing smells of some kind of corruption somewhere, because from what we gather, these are the same people who had raised their voice against the industrial policy that the government was coming out with, which was giving the builders some kind of incentives that was not really the right thing to do. So were they trying to make these people happy so that they do not object for the industrial policy? A lot of questions needs to be asked, and what we demand is an anti-corruption bureau investigation.
Yes.
What we demand is the Lokayukta to look into it. We've been to the Lokayukta before. We've asked them to look into certain corruption issues that we raised earlier. They've not looked at it. But we'll continue to go. I mean, I'd like to suggest one last thing.
Yes, okay.
I'd like to suggest this. I think, Mr. Datta Patsalgikar is now appointed as a Up Lokayukta. I think, this is his first thing he should get into and look into it and come out and tell the people that we've brought this out, whether it's the fact or not. This should come out in the open.
Okay, Shailesh Gandhi, former CIC, joins us. Mr. Gandhi, thank you for joining us. If you've taken a look, and you've heard everything that Mayuresh has reported, and we've taken a look at these bills as well. Is this evidence of corruption, or at least suspicion of corruption, Mr. Gandhi? Should there be an investigation?
I think it's an open and shut case. There need to be no thinking about whether it is corruption. This is corruption. The only possibility I see is maybe they were buying both the properties in the United States. And this was the amount and a quid pro quo. That's a possibility. That the officers were buying these houses for themselves and bills were being raised. In lieu of selling the house, they said, no, you give us any bill. This is shameless. This shows that they are not bothered about getting caught. And I would disagree with Clyde and say, we don't need an investigation. Let the government put Mr. Gawai before public in a press conference and let them explain. Most of our investigations lead to nothing. So investigation is another method of saying don't do anything. Why don't they give a press conference and explain? Let Mr. Gawai explain. He's a senior additional secretary of the government. Let the ministers sit and explain. 2 people. And in between, we had got government departments to list whatever expense was being spent on foreign trips. That stopped because they are all uncomfortable with him. They all want to make money. And the minister saying we haven't passed the bills. He should be shocked. And this corruption is actually taking a morsel away from the poorest girl in Vidarbha. Aren't they ashamed of this? 7.63 crores, 5 days. What were they doing? This is clear corruption. There is no other way of looking at it. And as I said, the only possibility is they've either bought 2 houses in US for which they are making a payment by raising bills on the government. And I'm sure Mr. Pathak will have some explanation. And I'm looking forward to his explanation. And ideally, Mr. Pathak should say for all foreign trips, all bills will be put up on the website. And in this case, tomorrow there will be a press conference which Mr. Gawai will answer the media and say and try and explain. And if he cannot explain, then I think he needs to be suspended, dismissed. Complete action needs to be taken. Lokayukta will do nothing. Please, let's understand, most of our institutions are non-functional.
Okay.
Lokayukta will do nothing in this. Tell me in the last 10, 15, 20 years, if you can hear of one major corruption case unearthed by the Lokayukta. It doesn't happen.
But we have the Anti-Corruption Bureau, we have the police.
Let us face the public and explain.
But Mr. Vishwas Pathak joins us right now from the BJP. Mr.
It doesn't
Pathak.
function. It doesn't function fair.
Unfortunately. Mr. Pathak, I want you to just answer Shailesh Gandhi's questions directly. Clyde asked questions as well. 7.63 crore rupees spent on 5 people in 5 days. Who do you think will believe this? Why does the Maharashtra government take us to be so stupid that we will actually allow our money to be squandered off in this manner?
Certainly not. For me also, it is a very high amount, unbelievable. I fully agree. However, whatever Honorable Minister, concerned Honorable Minister has said, these are the bills raised by the agencies. They are subject to scrutiny, they have not yet been passed. Look at this, for any government such spending, there is an audit like CAG and various kind of authorities. So it's not that easy that anybody can carry out the corruption. After scrutiny, if something wrong is found, certainly action will be taken. But for your information, for any government bureaucrat, there are set down norms. Air travel system, then hotel booking, then the reimbursement of food and meal. Beyond that, nothing can be passed. So therefore, this is subject to scrutiny, and if we feel that it is something unjustifiable, certainly, number one,
Mr.
no
Mr.
amount
Vishwas
will be
Pathak,
paid
could
in
you
excess of
just
what is
answer one
permissible.
question for me?
Number two,
last year,
we will take action.
I'm sure you'll take action. Last year, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra travelled to Davos with a contingency. Could you tell us how much money he spent on 5 days?
No, again I'm saying, if it is exorbitantly high, there is no question of passing those bills, and there will be inquiry.
The reason why I'm asking is because the Chief Minister's bills have been passed and paid. Could you tell us how much the Chief Minister spent last year when he travelled to Davos for 5 days, accompanied by his family?
I don't have figures just now.
I'll tell you the figure if you want.
Those bills
What is the
also?
figure?
The figure is 1 crore 93 lakhs 31,185.98 rupees. This is the amount that was spent on his trip to Davos.
So nearly 2 crore rupees over 5 days. Is that, according to the Maharashtra government, a more reasonable number, Mr. Pathak? I'm just trying to understand what you would term as reasonable,
It's
because
not
these
question of
bills have been
reasonable or
paid.
unreasonable. I'll tell you.
Yes, please tell me.
I'll tell you. About the travel, about the stay, about the food, there are the directives, and you cannot pay in excess of that. However, Davos is a small place in Switzerland. When it is a crowded, especially in terms when there is a global economic forum and all that thing, costs are generally high. And it is not only for staying. So at times you have to hold meetings one-to-one with the dignitaries. Therefore, spending can be more. But if it is unreasonable, there is no question of defending that.
Okay, so you're saying 2 crore rupees is not unreasonable, but 7.63 crore. Allow me the other panelists as well.
I need to look into all those things.
You will have to look into it. All right, Bhaskar Prabhu, you were listening. Do you not? Are you not satisfied with the answers?
That first of all, this is what is the problem with the government, is that they don't tell anything as per to the directives from the Department of Personnel Training. Everything has to be published on the website. What they have spent, how much air travel is there. These directives are totally not adhered to by any state government, or including the Maharashtra and also the central government. So they don't publish it on the website, which is mandatorily to be done. Whereas if we are asking still about the Prime Minister's internal airfare tour, still we are not getting it. But if even the small corporations which are there, we have, when we were in technical advisory committee, we said all air travels must be published on their website, but they are not doing it, just because they don't want to have any transparency. The moment the air travels are published, you come to know about various things where they've traveled, everything. So this is totally one type of, when something is taken out by a lot of efforts, even now everything is mumkin hai at present. I think the thing is that whether the mumkin is on the corruption side or on the non-corruption side, we have to locate it. So
Clyde, you wanted to say something?
The question that also comes to mind, and I think it's a very important question, is why are these companies from America handling the whole dealing for someone from Maharashtra? Could the Maharashtra government not find any company in Mumbai or in Maharashtra or in India to handle their tour? This just makes it even more shady, because why would you go to a company in California? No, and also the question is, because it was in Davos, but we've all traveled around the world and we've booked our tickets from here. We've got companies who plan our trips from here. You could not find one company in Mumbai or in India to actually do the whole trip for you? So this
Well,
also,
actually,
this question
let
comes
me
in
ask
mind.
Vishwas Pathak. You kept saying that there will be an investigation, there will be an investigation. But obviously, from the government's point of view, it's very clear that when you make bookings like this, you have to use officially screened vendors. There are vendors that do the government's work, and there is a process in place. There is a standard operating procedure in place, Vishwas Pathak. This shows a departure from standard operating procedure. So I'll ask you a very straight question. Is this corruption? And are these bureaucrats, these babus, receiving a payoff for something? What are they being paid for? What is the bribe for, Mr. Pathak? Tell us.
Number one, any exorbitantly high fees cannot be defended. However, corruption is a corruption when it is proved. Now, this is subject to scrutiny. We'll scrutinize that.
But Mr.
Government
Pathak,
has got standard SOP.
the Chief Minister
It is
has not
subjected to
announced,
CAG
has
audit.
not ordered
Therefore,
an
things are not that
inquiry.
easy.
Who is examining it? There's no inquiry, there's no investigation, there's no FIR. So who is actually looking into this? Please tell me, which department is looking into this?
Bills have been received recently. It is about 25th of Jan. It has been issued recently in February end. It is subject to scrutiny. And scrutiny is also done by internal audit department, internal accounts department. Then there is a CAG also. So it's not that easy. Anybody can just get away with exorbitantly high amount.
So
How the bills can be raised without a consent of any government? That's what we want to know. How the
and
bills
if
can be
this
raised
had
without
not
any reason.
been, this had not been picked
bills-
up by
bills are not-
opposition and then media, this would have been cleared quietly without any problems. Now, here's the first question. Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh,
100%
this
not.
Premier
100%. If you
Motor
believe in
and
CAG,
Cars,
if you believe in audit,
no, Premier Motor and Company that has given this bill, and Auto Boys that has given the second bill, are these registered vendors of the Maharashtra government?
That's the question.
Is this standard operating procedure that has been followed?
that I need to check. I don't have any information on that.
I think that's
However, it is
Faye, I think
always
that's the
done
most
through
important question to be
recognized
asked.
practice only. There is
Mr.
no question of
Pathak, how
deviation.
can they be registered
If they don't exist.
if they don't exist?
Well, I just want to bring in Shailesh Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi, obviously there is a standard operating procedure.
No, no,
we
see,
have
it is-
we
it
have
is-
standard operating procedures in this company. We have whistleblowers in this company where we do not buy a piece of paper without that vendor being screened and registered. Please tell me, Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, that the Maharashtra government has a similar, if not a more robust system in place.
It has a system, and the way Mr. Pathak is talking, he's clearly obfuscating the issue. I'm saying a very simple thing, and let's stop all this nonsense. Tomorrow, let the minister say, Mr. Gawai will give an explanation publicly. Let him hold a press conference tomorrow and explain. These are very serious charges, and it's obvious that they expect time to heal everything. And at the end of the day, media cannot keep pursuing these cases. They will. The way Mr. Pathak is saying, there are standard procedures, we are all aware. There are standard norms, we are all aware of that. But these are being flouted unless it gets highlighted. Even when it gets highlighted, they allow time to pass and then pay off all these things. Let them explain tomorrow is my question. And will Mr. Pathak make the commitment that tomorrow or day after, Mr. Gawai will give an explanation publicly to press? That's our best thing. Let them be transparent.
Yes. But, you know, I also want to bring in Vishal Muntevar. But before I bring in Vishal, I just want to point out, Shailesh Gandhi said the media can't keep following cases like this. But, Mr. Gandhi, I have nothing better to do with my time. I will quite happily follow this
we will
case
follow it up
in
also
a
with
quite
you.
dogged fashion for
Shailesh
the
bhai
rest
will keep
several
following this.
weeks.
We will not let it pass.
But Vishal from the Congress party, go ahead. Vishal, what is the process in place that should be followed when there is a member of government, bureaucrat or politician, making an official trip like this?
I think your channel raises a few pertinent questions. I think the spokesperson from the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to run away from the core issue. There is definitely corruption which has happened here, which is very, very evident. I mean, you have seen that, when the Chief Minister traveled last year, with a big delegation, the money spent was close to 2 crores. And now suddenly you're spending 7 crore rupees for actually doing the same thing. So obviously there is corruption. I mean, that is very, very evident. Now, when Mr. Pathak from the BJP says that we will investigate this, I think this is just to avoid the main issue, which is that why did the government of Maharashtra choose a agency which is, as you pointed out in your investigation, which is being run out of some house and which is not even a professional agency. There are n number of service providers out of India, out of Mumbai, who could have provided the same service to the government, and the government has certain norms. There are agencies enlisted with the government. They should have used the services of those agencies, and even the rates are fixed for those kind of services. So I think it is clear that whichever official who took the decision of actually hiring an agency out of America instead of doing it, from an agency in India, I think the first thing is that the action should be taken against that official. And I think even the minister has to be responsible. The chief minister has to come in and he has to answer the people of Maharashtra. We must remember that Maharashtra today has the highest debt in our country. It has about 4,63,000 crores.
Well,
it is reeling under debt.
To be fair, you should allow Vishwas Pathak to respond to this. To be fair, we should allow Vishwas Pathak to respond to what the Congress party spokesperson is saying. But also, let's consider that we have the worst, almost the worst numbers of children severely underweight and undernourished in the country. We have the worst numbers of farmers' suicide. We have some of the worst numbers when it comes to crime against women, especially little baby girls who get pulled out of school or baby girls who get aborted or killed when they're born. Vishwas Pathak, could they have been better used to this money than sending 5 chaps to Davos to burn 7.6 crore rupees?
Again, I'm telling you, I'm not defending the figure unless it is properly scrutinized and justified. All I'm saying is not that we should attend this Davos conference.
Do you think it needs justification?
It is a global economic forum where around 6,000 crores, no, can you just complete me? Around 6,000 crores worth contracts have been signed, whereby
I trying to say that if 6,000 crores worth of contracts are signed, so this is all right.
That we should go and
spending this kind of money, 7 crores is all right because you got some contracts from there. But then justify what you've done.
Hello,
so I try to say corruption is all right.
Let him finish making his point. Go ahead,
Mr. Pathak. Answer, Mr. Pathak.
Do you understand simple English?
No, I understand. I understand.
Do you understand in simple English? I am not defending anything. I am not defending anything.
You're saying
all
because
I'm saying,
yes.
Should we not attend this Davos conference? Should we not
Who's saying
participate
not
in
to attend?
global economic
But does that
forum?
mean you do this?
Don't mix up the topics.
Okay, all right.
If
So
spending
fair
is
enough.
more,
So
action
one
will be taken.
second.
It is subject to scrutiny.
One second, Vishwas Pathak, forgive me. If I've understood you correctly, you said Davos is a very important event in which there are people who come in, investors come in from all over the world, and it's important for Maharashtra to put up, a strong show.
Attend it. Every year we
Absolutely.
participate.
So we can attract investment, which is good for the state. I completely agree with you. Quick follow-up question, Mr. Pathak. In the year 2016, there were 2,560 MOUs for a total investment of 6.11 trillion rupees that was signed by the Maharashtra government for investments that would come into this state for Make in India Week, for greenfield projects that would be set up. How many, since 2016, we are now in 2019, how many of these trillions worth of projects have actually taken off?
Hey, number one, you have to understand, whenever MOUs are signed, 100% there cannot be conversion rate. However, India is the most favored FDI country, wherein Maharashtra is contributing maximum. So that is the outcome of
Maharashtra is contributing maximum
India.
what?
There cannot be 100% conversion.
No. You told me that it's important to send a delegation to Davos every year to attract investments, which I agree with you completely.
No,
I agree we should attract investments. I want to know what happened to the investments we have already attracted.
I'm telling you, number one, I'm asking you, should we not participate?
Well, if we haven't turned around what happened in Make in India Week, then no, we should focus on this first. Don't participate. If the chief minister doesn't have the time to go there himself, don't send your 5 bureaucrats. Don't participate.
In any of the in any of the countries in the world, 100% conversion of investment MOUs happen.
Okay, don't do
It is always
100%.
lesser than that.
Tell me, what is your
However, look at the
conversion?
figures.
What is the
Of
conversion?
6.11
India is the
trillion
most-
rupees, what have you
India is
converted?
the most favored nation.
2,560 MOUs were signed.
No, no.
How many got converted?
Listen,
2, 3?
listen my figures.
Okay, tell me your figures. I'm writing it
No,
down.
tell me, is not true that India is the most favored destination for FDI, 60 billion FDI, highest in the world India has received.
Mr.
Out of
Vishwas
that,
Pathak, show
Maharashtra
me
has
the
converted
money.
Maximum.
Mr.
These are
Vishwas
also the
Pathak.
facts.
No, you know what? We've both been doing this for a fairly long period of time. I know when
You
you're
want to show me
trying to
from
change
pocket?
the topic. Now, of
Do
the
you believe- do you believe
2,560
RBI figures? Do you believe
MOUs
statistical
signed by the
India
government of Maharashtra in
Read figures of
2016,
RBI,
3
read
years
figures
ago,
of statistical
how
India.
many of them did you convert into
India
actual
is
investment?
receiving
Listen,
maximum FDI.
do me the courtesy of listening to my question at least. How many of those
No,
2,500 MOUs did you
are
convert?
talking very baseless. You are
How am I
questioning
making
baseless.
baseless
Show me the
questions?
money. Can I show this on TV?
What?
Read RBI's report. Read statistical survey report. India
About
is the
what?
most favored FDI destination. 60 billion FDI has been received.
By whom?
And you are asking me to show.
No,
Look at the
obvious-
figures. Look at this reports of the RBI.
No, Mr. Pathak, let me ask you the question again. I'm not asking you if India is a favorable destination. I'm talking about
Ask some sensible question. Ask sensible
Okay,
question.
I'll ask a sensible question again. Let me try one more time to be sensible.
Ask sensible question. I'll
Let me
reply.
try one more time to be sensible. Fine. We signed MOUs.
Don't say show me the money. I cannot show you money.
Okay.
You
We
have to refer
signed
to RBI
MOUs in the
website.
state of Maharashtra, Mr. Vishwas Pathak, of 2,560 MOUs and commitments were signed, totaling 6.11 trillion rupees back in 2016. Now, agreed, you said MOUs don't fully convert, although let me point out from a legal point of view, and I have a lawyer now, an MOU is a contract. It is a binding contract. How much of it
It's not
did...
a contract.
Okay, no, we're
It's
not
not a
going to go down that
contract.
road. How much
Very
did
baseless, useless question you are asking. Faye.
Mr.
MOU
Vishwas
is not a
Pathak?
contract. It's
Okay.
a non-binding.
So then why did you
understanding.
sign them? How many of them converted is my question. Out of
It is always like that.
2,500.
That's the process. It's the intent.
How many
MOU is the
converted?
intent.
How many
Your question
converted?
itself is baseless.
How many converted?
Out of 60 billion FDI issued by India, 30% has been contributed by Maharashtra. So almost like 20 billion.
How many
You
of
are
the
asking baseless question. MOU is not a contract.
2,560
It's the
MOUs
intent.
you signed converted into actual
20
investments?
billion has been issued by Maharashtra out of 60 billion. Look at the RBI website.
No. Listen to me.
Okay, ask
These
a lawyer. Lawyer will
MOUs
throw some light on you.
Don't throw light
Let
on
lawyer
me.
reply. Let
These
lawyer respond
MOUs
now.
were for greenfield
No, let lawyer
investment
respond and I will
projects. How
respond to
many
you.
greenfield investment projects have you managed to start?
No, let lawyer first correct yourself what you are talking about. Then I'll
Aniket
come back to
Nigam
you.
is a lawyer. Aniket Nigam, interesting question here where and this I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is actually derailing us from the
No,
larger
whether
conversation.
MOU is a contract.
Is the
Question
MOU
one,
a
whether MOU is
contract
a
or
contract.
simply a letter of intention? Aniket Nigam.
Faye, first of all, let me tell you, spending 7.63 crores on 5 people in 5 days by any standard is not only unreasonable,
No,
it is
whether MOU is a
unfathomable
contract.
and ridiculous. Because this is the public money that is being spent, and a government servant is accountable, and accountability has to be up to the hilt. Now, in a situation like this where these government servants have gone to Davos and spent such a huge amount of money, they need to explain as to what was the reason and on what basis they have spent such a huge amount of money. I heard the industries minister saying that the bills have not been cleared as yet. The question is not whether the bills have been cleared or not. The question is how come these bills were raised to such an extent in the first place? Because as it is being said, there cannot be smoke without fire. So unless there is some basis, these bills could not have been raised. That is point number one. Coming to the issue that is being raised as to whether an MOU amounts to a contract or not. Now, MOU by any general sense means memorandum of understanding, which is an expression of interest. Now, two individuals, two entities, two countries sign an MOU only when they have reached to a certain understanding that this is what they intend to do in future. Now, after having signed on MOU, they have to act upon it. The question is whether the government has further acted upon these MOUs. One cannot just keep on signing MOUs and then sit tight on it and do nothing about it, because then this is not going to take you any further. This is only spending government money, signing MOUs and doing nothing about it. The fact of signing MOU means that you want to do something about it, and you need to do something about it, because that is the reason why in the first place you went to Davos, had those discussions and signed those MOUs. So your intent was very clear. Your intent was to execute these MOUs and take it to its logical end. The question is, why have they not been taken to its logical end till now? That is number 2. Number 3, as I heard the learned panelists saying that these bills will have to be tested. The question again is that if the chief minister goes to Davos for 5 days and spend around 2 crores, what was the need for these 5 bureaucrats to spend 6 crores? Now this is an answer which they will have to answer, because this is a question which they will have to answer, because there are set guidelines when bureaucrats travel abroad for government purposes. And when they do so, they have to justify the reason for which they have travelled, and secondly, the bills that these expenses that they have made or spent. In this case, they will have to answer that, because otherwise there will be criminal implications, there will be other implications, and there have been cases where courts suo moto have entertained petitions in matters like this and have asked the bureaucrats to pay from their pockets. If it is found that these bills are not genuine, they are exaggerated and unnecessary.
Very well said. Clyde, you had something to add? Go ahead, please.
No, there's something else that we exposed yesterday. Now, Mr. Pathak keeps on justifying. Why don't we ask him another question, which I think you should also ask, is, there is
I'm not
a mobile
justifying
scam.
anything. About bills, I am not justifying anything.
Can I finish? Something about what we are calling is the 106 crore mobile scam. The Anganwadi workers were supposed to be given 1.2 lakh mobile phones. Now, these Panasonic Eluga, phones that cost nearly 6,400 rupees online. Okay, you can buy phones online which cost 6,400 online, have been purchased by the Women and Children Welfare Department of the Government of Maharashtra for nearly 8,500 rupees. When you're buying 1,20,000 mobile phones, I'm sure you'll get much more discount than 6,500 that you're paying online. Now, they've gone ahead and paid 8,500 rupees per mobile phone, and the Panasonic Eluga phones are redundant. They're not in production anymore. So there's another 106 crore scam in the offing, which we've exposed yesterday. I think that also is to be answered by the government right now.
Well, a quick question to Vishwas Pathak. We know that we are talking about one individual here, who's Satish Gawai. What about the other 4? Why is it that the Maharashtra government has not released their names yet? Who are the other 4 bureaucrats who travelled with him?
No, I don't have those names. I don't know just now.
Any of your details have those names?
This one?
Our reporter has not been able to either find the names of the 4 bureaucrats who travelled with Mr. Satish Gawai. We only know of the one secretary who travelled and 4 bureaucrats who went with him, but nobody in the Maharashtra government right now has those names handy. Shailesh Gandhi, does that raise an eyebrow for you?
Obviously, I'm saying a simple thing. Why doesn't Mr. Gawai, and Mr. Gawai is one of the senior most bureaucrats in the country, why does he not answer and explain this? Why does Mr. Pathak not say, tomorrow we'll put all this data on the website and put everything before public? And I keep insisting, a press conference is what should be held when there are very serious charges, which are so obvious. There is no inquiry required for this. Let them explain. If there is an explanation, they'll come up with it. If there is no explanation, I think immediately Mr. Gawai should be suspended. Immediately. You can't wait like this and let corruption keep on flowering and say we'll have this and we'll do that. Because I am sure, Faye, despite your tenacity, it is very difficult to keep following such scams for a very long time.
Well, Vishwas Pathak, I'll give you, I have 1 minute, and I'll give you that 1 minute to make a promise.
Can Mr. Pathak commit that tomorrow
will there be answers offered to us tomorrow, Mr. Vishwas Pathak?
See, number one, I'm not defending any price. It is subject to scrutiny. If found wrong, action will be taken. As far as tomorrow, if somebody is going to do a press conference, I am not spokesperson for government of Maharashtra. I am spokesperson for BJP. As a BJP, I have got full trust in Maharashtra government. They will take appropriate and proper action.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, so that was actually not a commitment of any sort. You didn't say what action will be taken. You didn't say what investigation will be ordered. You didn't say by when we would get the answers or who would offer us those answers.
Spokesperson for BJP,
that was
I
the
cannot
most
speak on
vague
behalf of
answer we
government.
could have ever
What
gotten.
But will they at least give a commitment that whatever the airfare,
No, you are asking
whatever the air travels, any government from Maharashtra, will they be agreeing to display it on the website as per to the DOPT website, DOPT directives?
BJP demand?
It is just not Maharashtra. All public authorities have to
as far as
display.
this government
That is the
concerned,
directive.
Mr. Pathak is
this
saying,
government brought all transparency.
No, transparency we do not know. All transparency is after excavating.
As far as transparency is concerned,
Okay,
this
so
is
I'll
the
tell you
government
what.
which is bringing all those practices.
No, but you,
Faye, I want to ask
after
a
every
question to Mr.
excavation,
Pathak.
you tell that we are in transparency. But you give an assurance that as per to the Department of Personal Training's
Faye, I want to ask
directives,
a
will
question
you
to Mr. Pathak.
put it on the website?
Okay, so we actually have to leave it here because we've run out of time. But and Mr.
Again, I'm
Vishwas
telling
Pathak
you.
is quite, as we've heard him repeatedly say, obviously not in a position to offer us any more. But we will do this. I'll offer you an assurance here on Mirror now that we will track this case very, very closely. We won't let the Maharashtra government sweep it under the carpet and hope that we'll all forget about it. We'll track it closely to find out what sort of inquiry or investigation is ordered into this matter, and it deserves an investigation, not poochtach internally within your own department, but you actually have to get an investigative agency to look into it, because my team can tell you that there's something wrong with these bills. It shouldn't take too much for the Chief Minister of Maharashtra to realize that there's something wrong and an inquiry needs to be ordered. Once that is done, we need to know what action will be taken and why it was that these bureaucrats were allowed to travel and submit bills and spend money from vendors who are not registered with the government. And we know they're not registered with the government because these vendors don't exist. And that would be very difficult to register with vendors who don't exist. This is a clear sign of corruption, and the Maharashtra government needs to take action in order to prove that it is truly anti-corruption. We're going to be watching very closely. Thanks for watching.